The second one, and I don't even know if this is really a word, but I made it up. It always comes out, spell check has the red squiggly thing underneath it like it's not a word. I didn't know that until I got spell check. Eventually it's going to be a word. If you're judgmental, then the state of judgmental is judgmentalism, right? Just makes sense to me. What does that mean? What's that? Judgmentalist. That's a noun. That's a person. Oh, I'm a judgmentalist. Oh, mentalist. Oh, that's good. I like that. I'm going to take that as a compliment. I don't care how you intended it. We're not born judgmental. Go back to the kids. Kids aren't judgmental. You can put every kind of kid together in a playground, race, sex, disabilities, whatever it might be. They'll look at it and they'll ask you what happened to you. Oh, I was in an accident, I lost my arm. Okay, let's play. All right? We're not born judgmental. Guess what? Oops. I gotta go back to my notes. When we are judgmental, and again, when I said kids are not judgmental, this is a really neat thing I found about some very famous geniuses in our history who were judged when they were children. I call it famous failures. Beethoven's teacher called him hopeless as a composer. Caruso's parents wanted him to be an engineer because his teacher said he had no voice at all and could not sing. Winston Churchill failed the 6th grade. Walt Disney was fired by a newspaper editor for a lack of ideas. Hello? Thomas Edison's teacher said he was too stupid to learn anything. Einstein did not speak until he was 4 years old and didn't read until he was 7. Today we would drug him, right? His teacher described him as mentally slow, unsociable, and adrift forever in his foolish dreams. Yeah, circadian rhythms working there, huh? He was expelled and was refused admittance to the Zurich Polytechnic Institute. Rodin, the artist, his father said, "I have an idiot for a son." My dad said that. Must be a compliment. He was described as the worst pupil in the school and failed 3 times to secure admittance to the School of Art. And the list goes on and on and on and on. It's amazing. It's amazing how these kids turned out, huh? That's judgmentalism. So we aren't born with it, and we are judgmental because it is comfortable. Again, good news is you're normal. Bad news is you're normal. It is comfortable. We have to make so many decisions every day as adults that it's kind of nice to have some already made. That's what judgmentalism is. You've already made up your mind about something. You don't have to think about it. It's right or wrong, normal or weird, good or bad. This could be politics, could be religion, it could be all kinds of things. I'm going to spend a few minutes on this because we all do it. We do it because it's expedient. It's easier, it's comfortable. Think of your brain as a filing cabinet. Now, I know we don't really have that many real filing cabinets anymore in our offices. So if you don't, think about the ones in your computer, on your desktop. Every time you decide to file something in your filing cabinet, it goes through a buffer system. Do you file everything that comes across? No, you can't. It'd be stupid, right? So you have to have some kind of a decision-making process to decide what information you want to save for later retrieval. The first buffer, and you're doing it right now, you do it all the time, you're doing it with me. You're saying to yourself, is that stuff true? I don't know, do I believe this? And there's judgment going on right there. And you may dismiss something, not let it through your buffer because you don't want to believe it. Or it's not consistent with your thinking, your filters, your judgments. Now, let's just say it does make it through the buffer of truth. Then you say, yeah, but do I care? Does it have any value to me? Do I want to be able to retrieve this information later for any reason? It may be true, but I don't care. Judgment. And then finally, if it makes it through the buffers of truth and the buffer of value, then you go, well, where do I index it? Which folder do I put it in? Now, when you've got a full filing cabinet that's 30, 40, 50 years old, it gets kind of full, huh? The older we get, the more files we've created. And adults hate to create new files. It's work. It's work. If you've ever done it for real, physically, completely overhauled your filing cabinet, when you're all done, isn't it liberating? Doesn't it feel good? You go, wow, that stuff fits better now. I didn't need this, and this I wanted to save. When you do that, and I try to do it about once a year, because I'm a terrible filing person. I just throw stuff in the closet. And at the end of the day, of course, my wife makes me do it, but I do it. And I go, wow, I needed that. So we need to do the same thing. You know, I did some experiments when I was teaching. It was really funny. It was with Robert Morris. And I handed out some articles from right-wing and left-wing publications, everything from the National Abortion Rights Action League to the NRA to the, different organizations. And I deleted any reference to who the organization was. And I just said, read this article. Your assignment is to read this article all the way through and try to withhold judgment and ask yourself, is there anything in here that may be true? Is there anything in here that may have value? Is there anything in here I may want to remember? And in almost every single case, the answer was yes. May not necessarily agree with it, all right? I'm not saying change your values, change your worldview, but that was a powerful experiment, because if I'd had laid that magazine down on their desk and said, would you like to read this article about gun rights? No, I don't need to read that. I don't believe in gun rights. Well, maybe you should read it. Would you like to read this article about abortion? No, I don't need to read that. Same thing with what radio and TV shows we listen to, okay? If you listen to talk radio, you listen to the talk radio you agree with, because it bolsters your position. If you really want to bolster your position, listen to the other side. It's not painful, it's revealing. It may just reinforce you even further. The first thing you do when you go into a negotiation or a war or sales or anything else is you do your reconnaissance, which means you learn more about the other person's position than your own. We don't do that. We don't do that enough. I had the same thing happen when I used to have a ponytail and an earring. And two different experiences. I used to do work for 3M. Every year I'd go out to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and do programs on creative thinking and innovation, because they were so innovative. And one year I grew a ponytail, and I pierced my ear. Just who I am. Just wanted to try it. So I get off the plane, the lady picks me up from 3M, who I've worked with for 5 years, and I could see her going, oh no, this isn't gonna work. So we went through the day, and I could see them all in the corner powwowing about this horrible change I went through. And finally, by the end of the day, Carol calls me in. She goes, John, we got to talk. Sure, I knew what was going on. That's who I am. I'm a rebel. But she says, I don't think this is going to work anymore. I said, why? And she says, well, and I said, okay, let me make it easier for you. Could it be the ponytail and the earring? She says, well, I hate to say it, yeah. We're kind of a conservative company and yada yada. So it was like, I didn't change, I grew hair. My brain didn't change at all. But you know what else happened? I started teaching at Robert Morris, and I already had the ponytail and the earring. And then I cut it off. I went even shorter than this one day. And I walked into the class, and I could hear somebody in the back of the room go, oh man, I used to like him. Oh man, I used to like him. Was that a learning experience? I said, let's talk about that. You don't like me now because I cut my hair? And these are students who are supposed to be open-minded, right? Inclusive, diversity, individuality. You cut your hair. It's so funny. It's just funny when you do this stuff. You got to make room for new ideas. Purge your files.